Hello everyone, hope all is well today. My name is Jilamat. Today we will discuss importing data with R. And so here we say displayed is a spreadsheet. It's actually Excel, but you don't need to use Excel. You can use maybe the OpenOffice if you want, which is actually free. In Excel, we're going to put our data, and our goal eventually will be to import the data from this file into R. And so first thing I need to do is discuss the format of a data frame, which is actually a table of data, of your data set. A data frame, first of all, we have to think in terms of the columns. The columns are going to be the variables. And so here we see displayed two variables. One is called dry weight, which is a numerical variable, which is the dry weight of a head of lettuce. And then we have status, which is actually indicating if the lettuce was actually in competition or not with spinach. And so if we go down in my Excel file, I see a row where I had a head of lettuce which is in competition with spinach. And then at the top we have some head of lettuce which are not in competition. Okay, so the columns are the variables. The rows are actually the statistical units, and so a head of lettuce, it will be a statistical unit. So we have a head of lettuce, and then we're going to measure the dry weight and describe if it was in competition with spinach or not. Okay. The only exception is the first row where we're going to put the names of the columns. Okay. And so now I'm going to save this file as a text file. So I'll go in Excel or your spreadsheet, save as. I'm going to save it as a text file. So in the type, put text. Select tab delimited, and so the columns are going to be delimited by tabs. And I'm going to call the file lettuce.txt, and I'm going to save it into my documents folder. Okay, and so now I have a file called lettuce which is saved in my documents folder. And so now I'm going to open R, and in R I'm going to use a command called read.table. And so I'm going to use this function to assign data from a file to what R calls a data frame. And we can use whatever name that we want for the data frame. So let's call it lettuce. This is the name I'm going to use. It's going to be a data frame, which is actually just a table of values. I'm going to use the equal sign to do the assignment. I'm going to then use the function called read.table. The first argument is going to be file choose. So file.choose with round parentheses. This is going to force R to actually open up a window and ask us where is the file located. And then the second argument is going to be header equal to true. By default, R assumes that there are no names to the columns in the file. Since I put names in the first row, I'm going to indicate this to R by using header equal to true. And then the last argument is to indicate to R what type of separation is used for to delimit the columns. And so I put SEP for separation equal, and then in quotation marks, I'm going to put /T to indicate that I'm using tabulations or tabs. Okay, and so now as I enter the command, this is going to open up a window. R wants to know where is the file, so I saved it in documents. I'm going to find lettuce.txt. So lettuce.txt, and open up my file, and now we have imported our data into R. Okay. First thing we're going to do is ask R what are the names of the columns. And so I'm going to use a function called names. My data frame is called lettuce. So what are the names of the columns in lettuce? And here in the output, we see that there are actually two names. The first variable is going to be called dry weight. Now notice that R put a dot between dry and weight because R doesn't like spaces in names of variables. And then the second variable is called status. And now we can access the columns by using their names, or we can also access the columns by using the location. Is it the first column, second column, and so on. So the index. So for example, if I want to get some descriptive statistics of the dry weight of the lettuce, then I'm going to do the following. In the summary function, I want to put the dry weight, and so to access that column, I need to first give the name of my data frame. I put the $sign, and then I put the name of the variable over the column, which is actually dry weight. And so I put my data frame, $sign, and then the name of the column of the variable. Okay, and so now we have some descriptive statistics for the dry weight of the lettuce. Now, generally, we're not necessarily interested in all of the dry weights. We might be interested in a dry weight for the lettuce in competition or the lettuce not in competition. And so since I know that the variable called status is a categorical variable, what I could do is ask for the levels of this categorical variable. So I use the function called levels. Lettuce is the name of my data frame, $sign, and then I'm going to put status, which is the categorical variable. And then here I see that I have two categories, one called lettuce alone and the other called with spinach. And so let's say that I want summary statistics for the dry weight of the lettuce, which were not in competition. So this means that the status is lettuce alone. So what I'm going to do is, in my function called summary, I want to get a summary of the dry weight. And then I'm going to use square parentheses to indicate which of the dry weight I want to keep. And so I'm going to use the status. And so remember that it's data frame, $sign, and then the name of the categorical variable. And so in the square parentheses, I'm going to put a logical argument. I'm going to put two equal signs. And this is going to indicate to R that I'm going to only keep these rows if I satisfy this condition. And I want the lettuce status to be equal to lettuce alone. Okay, and so here I put the two equal signs, and then I put the category, and then what we'll get is actually the summary statistics for the dry weight for the lettuce, which status equal to lettuce alone. Okay, and so if we go back and look at the other category, it's with spinach, and so I can do the same. And so instead of using lettuce alone, I can use a category with spinach, and then I get some summary statistics for with spinach. Okay. Now let's say that I want to get a box plot for the dry weight, and so I use again lettuce, which is the name of my data frame, the $sign, sorry, and then the name of my variable, which is dry weight. And so now we have a box plot of the dry weight. Now, of course, generally we don't want a box plot of all the dry weights. We maybe would like to do a comparison of dry weights with respect to the status variable. And so what we could do is, instead of the box plot, use the tilt sign. And so this is going to tell to R that I want to get a box plot of the dry weight as a function of some other variable. And so I will copy and paste lettuce, which is the name of my data frame, $sign, and then the name of my column is called status. And so now what we'll have is a box plot of the dry weight as a function of the status. Okay, and so we have a box plot for the dry weight as a function of the status of the lettuce. Is it in competition with spinach or not? Okay. So to end, I simply want to discuss the use of an index. So instead of using names, what we could do is actually just access the variables by using the index. And so let's say that I want to do summary statistics for all of the dry weight. So summary, and then lettuce is the name of my data frame, and I know that my first column is the dry weight. So what I could do is put a comma with 1, and this is going to give us actually the first column. So I have the summary of the dry weight, which is the first column of lettuce. Okay, and then since the status is the second column, what I could do is use a square bracket to put a condition that I want to put a condition with respect to the second column of the data frame called lettuce. And I'm going to only keep the rows where the category is equal to with spinach. And so now I have a summary of the dry weight with respect to the status, where the status is set to with spinach. So this is actually the dry weight, descriptive statistics for the dry weight of the lettuce, which were in competition with spinach. Okay, and so this is how you import data into R by constructing a data frame by using the function read.table. Okay, so have a good day.